This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Oh, it's buffering the intro, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. That's so funny. Let's have a lot of fun here on the Joe Gaither Show today. Great way to start, as the computer is probably about to play it as soon as it gets done buffering. Let me go ahead and stop it. This is the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central and BamaCentral.com. Checking us out on the Bama Central YouTube channel with our friend Mason Woods. You can follow Mason Woods at MAWoods_. We are going to have a lot of fun today. And we are so excited to talk about Alabama's big old victory, 42-13 over the LSU Tigers. We invite you to jump in and join us in the comment section at Joe Gaither 6. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, or you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon, right there on the Bama Central YouTube channel. That's right where we put the coordinator's interview and head coaching interview, press conference from today, inside the Naylor Stone interview media room. If you don't want to watch the Joe Gaither Show, you can watch those press conferences. And inside the bowels of Tiger Stadium, our team, Hunter DeCiver, Will Miller, and Katie Wyndham, were inside a victorious locker room. You can see those videos on the Bama Central YouTube channel as well. Let's get it started on the Joe Gaither Show by telling you we're right here in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. You can find us right off McFarland Boulevard here in Tuscaloosa, right up past the Tiger Rock to the left, just past right here on Laurel Wallace, on Highway 69 North. You can call Derek and his team, Red Reese and Victoria, at 205-758-3391 for all your insurance needs. Call them for your home insurance, your life insurance, your auto insurance. You're buying a car, you're selling a car, you need to get your insurance updated. Call Derek and his team today at 205-758-3391. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. Mason, it's the Victory Monday. How we doing? Yeah, how we doing?
This is the best Monday I've had since we started doing the show.
Oh,
And that's not a knock against any other Monday. This is just a special Monday. I said this last week. Alabama LSU is my favorite game every single year. I look forward to this game on the calendar. I think about it all the time. I love this rivalry, and that it just couldn't have gone any better to rip the hearts out of LSU fans, see them leaving the stadium in the third quarter.
they were gone.
Oh,
So we got some gumbo cooking.
You're watching the broadcast. You're hearing Alabama fans trying to disrupt LSU's offense.
We can't
in
let
their
the
home
jambalaya
stadium.
scorch.
It was cinematic. The rain pouring down as Jalen Milroe, Jam and Justice just absolutely took the dreams from the LSU Tigers, ended their season, and got the victory. It was absolutely amazing. I literally could not be better on this Monday.
Is Kalen DeBoer and the Alabama coaching staff, are they starting to understand and master the Alabama anaconda? I always used to say that the Alabama, that was really the Nick Saban style. The Alabama anaconda will slowly squeeze you out, choke you out. We're going to pound you down. We're going to beat you down. And there's nothing you can do about it. It's just going to be a couple yards at a time, methodical, and you're just not going to do anything on defense with a couple of big plays as well, or offense, defensively for Alabama, with a couple of big plays, just holding them down. It was just
it was suffocating.
The second
from
straight
start to
game, Mason, of really impressive football. And let's go back 2 weeks ago. We're leaving the stadium, the Ryan D Stadium, after Alabama has beaten down Missouri. And I am sort of brushing it off, saying, oh, well, Drew Pine this, and oh, well, Missouri's injuries that. Second straight performance, really strong on defense, really methodical on offense. It seems like what we saw against Missouri was not fraudulent. Alabama starting to find an identity.
I miscalculated what the result of that Missouri game meant. Very obviously, this defense, I think, proves it this week. They are for real. They played a very, very strong offense, one of the better offenses in the country, and absolutely shut them down, with the exception of one garbage time touchdown.
Do you want to go offense or defense first? Because I've got notes on both. We need to get into both sides of the football, and I've got some special teams notes as well. So you can pick offense or defense. Let's go.
Let's start with the offense because I want to end on defense. I loved the offense. Don't get me wrong, but I am most excited about that defensive performance.
Oh, the Alabama offense this past week made me.
It made me feel things I haven't felt as a fan in a while.
Yes. Oh my!
It reminded me of the 2012 Bama team, 2011, just beating people up.
Mixed with a little Lane Kiffin's D Sarkisian flavor from just perfect rhythmic play calling.
Man.
Not the same plays, obviously, but just the perfect Nick Sheridan. I have my finger on the pulse of this game.
It was beautiful.
And like literally the entire game, Nick Sheridan held it in his hand the entire. And look, people, you remember what 2 weeks ago when the Twitter debate about momentum, this isn't real, that Nick Sheridan just basically had his entire every play was just. Perfect.
Masterclass.
Yes. Okay. So first, look, let's start. First play, false start, and you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, here we go. It's gonna be bad." And then you get a Jam Miller run, and it's like, "Oh, 1 yard. That's not so good." And what happens? So you're second and long, second and 14. Like it starts from the jump. You get Jalen Milroe masterclass combined with Nick Sheridan's just an impeccable feel for the game. You have. Look, they come up to the line second and long, and I think that they made a protection error. But just straight up, and that happens. Is not an indictment. It just happens. Jalen's up at the line. He's yelling stuff at the line. Jaden Roberts goes left. Leaves Elijah Pritchett all on his own. You get you two defenders right in Milroe's face right off the bat on second and long. He uses the athleticism, dips out of the pocket, and finds Ryan right on the sidelines. Bam, 14 yards, first down. And you're sitting there like, oh, that was really, really impressive. And from there, it was back on rhythm, back on game plan. It's handoff, this. It's, every pass is a dump off to Kendrick Law. Oh, it's 3rd and 6, and we're just going to still pass it off to Kendrick Law behind the line of scrimmage because we know that he's so explosive. It was just, look. We're not going to say they listen to the show at all. That's a total joke. But everything that we talked about last week about utilizing your playmakers, taking what the defense is giving you, don't go broke taking a profit, just checking down, using the running backs. So the first drive is just going. And then Nick Sheridan, he just shows you not a new play because I saw it. We saw it in the Georgia game. I went back and found it.
But it's just when he uses it.
Exactly. This kind of, I want to say atom bomb really of a play. It's just like I have it written down as zone lead question mark.
Jalen Milroe with a blocker in front of him. Figure it out, big guy.
Yeah. It's you're gonna look like a quarterback. You're gonna look like a read option. You're going to look like a duo on the inside a little bit. Whether you're blocking, you're gonna work up. And instead of giving it, you already know that Jam Miller is either going to run straight through the big gap and clear and just lead blocker, or he's responsible for the in-man line of scrimmage. And I don't know how they're reading that particularly. I haven't figured that out yet. But on the first play, the first touchdown play, he comes through the line and he looks to seal out the in-man line of scrimmage who already had himself sealed out. Well, the safety, I mean, it is a brilliant play. The safety is scraping down, playing the dive, playing you're handing it off to Jam Miller, and I'm picking a gap because look, we already have established that Jan can play and Justice can play. We've already established that 4, 5, 6 plays into the drive. And the hole opens so wide that it's really just Jalen. We talked about it last week. Great runner, not a maybe special runner, like from a shifty standpoint. It was straight line. I'm just going to weave, straight run,
yeah,
right through the defense. And
I'm watching it again now. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, I literally, if you want to see, I just cut the plays that Jalen Milroe ran, only his plays, whether he was running or passing, on my Twitter at Joe Gaither 60. If you want to just watch all his 12 of 18, look, 12 of 18. And if you look at the 12 of 18 passing. Since we're already on it, I'm just going into the Jalen Milroe stuff. The six incompletions. You go a little inside baseball. I went through each of them. The 6 incompletions, he throws. Tip ball at the line of scrimmage. Will Weeks tips the ball at the line of scrimmage on a screen on like a screenplay. Congratulations, LSU, you got one. Okay, incomplete to Jeremy Bernard on a dump off on a broken play. Yep. He goes over Jeremy Bernard's head, and he almost he caught it, and really, it might have been a positive play, but ultimately a safe incompletion. Then incompletion number 3, the long bomb to Ryan Williams that goes off of Ryan Williams' hands, little long, maybe a hair long for the haters.
Could have been caught,
but absolutely could have been caught. Yes, could have been caught. Should have been caught. But the Jalen Milroe haters are going to say, "Oh, it's a little long." Okay, we can argue that, but tough play. Third one, the long one. I'm a little long to Emmanuel Henderson. Okay, yes, you are long. That's a miss.
Maybe the worst throw of the entire game.
And if that's your biggest miss, all right, no big deal. Fifth incompletion is I threw this ball away rolling out of the pocket, and blitz rushes on me. I'm just throwing it into the stands. Great, saving a sack, saving 5 yards. And then sixth incompletion is right off of Kendrick Law's face mask, right off his hands. And Kendrick Law had a really good game, but it was literally right at it. So he's got 2 drops, Ryan Williams and Kendrick Law. He's got 2 throwaways, and he's got maybe a miss long. What a game.
This was as near to perfect as I've seen Jalen Milroe be. From beginning to end of a game, he was absolutely spectacular. He did, Nick Sheridan drew up a perfect offensive plan. I'm not, I don't want to take anything away from him, but I also don't want to take anything away from Jalen Milroe. He did everything the offense asked him to do in this game, and he did it perfectly.
All right, so let's go inside of a couple comments here. Jalen says after the game, they coached me really hard this week. They coached me to stay within the confines of the offense, to operate in the confines of the offense. And I just wonder, if a lot of what we saw was there against Tennessee and was just passed up. The offense didn't really have a problem against Vanderbilt. Yeah, you have the 2 turnovers that were detrimental, and really they were tough luck on Jalen, both of them. Elijah Pridgett gets beat in a half second on a sack, and he gets a big carom, a big tip up in the air for a pick 6. Like, tough luck. But other than that, the offense largely moved against Vanderbilt.
Yeah, it wasn't really the problem that day.
And we have seen now that we have moved a couple weeks past the South Carolina game, that South Carolina's defense is bleeping real. Yeah. And so okay, you win the South Carolina game, and you get through it. But man, I think that what you saw on Saturday night is this is what happens when you do operate in the confines of the offense. Yeah, the deep shots will be there. Maybe the incompletions that were to Ryan Williams and Emmanuel Henderson, they were on the same drive. They ended up in a punt that we'll talk about here in a little while. But if you hit those, boom, it's another touchdown, and yes, the score goes way up. But you didn't hit those, and that's fine. But the offense was not. I'm just chucking threes. Yeah. I'm just chucking threes.
There was never one point in this game where it felt like the offense slowed down, plateaued off, or they just kept rolling, kept moving forward, kept advancing the ball down the field. It just never stopped, and it was I think just because Jalen Milroe took what the LSU defense gave him at every step of the way.
All right, so I just want to get your reaction to this kind of I've got a quarterback zone lead kind of play. They ran it at least. I have it on there on my little Twitter clip 4 times. I think one of them is not it. Okay. I think one of them's an RPO that he is actually reading. But the other 3, so he at least goes for 2 touchdowns on it. The 39-yarder, and I think the late 76-yarder was it as well.
Pretty good rate.
They scored on it against Georgia. That's the play that Jam gets his helmet blown up against Michael Williams or whoever the big time linebacker is for Georgia. Yeah. But it was 4th and 1, and Jalen just skirts around for like 40 yards or whatever. So it's like Adam Bomb feels too hyperbolic, but it's like a play. It's just like, hey man, we're kind of needing a play here. Let's just
I think it was on Friday last week, maybe Thursday, one of the shows. You mentioned like how when you're a kid and you play Madden or you play an NCAA video game, you have the one play where you're like, this is my play, and I score on it all. This is that play. And they found out how to sprinkle it in perfectly to where it does work almost every time you run it. And it's beautiful. It is a perfect setup for Jalen Milroe. Get him someone in front of him that can take that. Like we said, he's not great at making somebody miss an open space. So get somebody out in front of him that can take that block, that can take that defender on, and then let Milroe beat somebody just through with speed to the edge there. Let him beat somebody to the sideline. Let him beat somebody up the seam there. It's just like it was executed so perfectly in this game. And you're the thread that you put up of it this morning. I was looking through it, just watching again. They were blocked up perfectly. So big props to the offensive line. Amazing performance this week. I don't think Jalen Milroe was sacked even once. I don't know how many times he really got a ton of pressure. It didn't seem like a lot. It was just it was awesome. This play, I love it. Don't use it too much. 3-4 times a game is just the right amount. Just sprinkle it in right when you've hammered Jam and Justice a couple plays. Maybe you get one little quick completion here and there, and then bam, 40 yards Jalen Milroe, 70 yards Jalen Milroe. It's perfect.
So what it does, it does things for both for every unit on the field that has a little bit of a struggle, right? All right, let's be honest. Jalen hasn't always read option very well. I mean, sometimes he gets it right and it goes great.
I mean, there was one play in this game, I think, right at the last
end. Oh my gosh,
game.
At the very end of the game, if that was a read, if it was a read, you absolutely missed it, buddy. But if it was a total keep, call it a keep, well, you got sabotaged a little bit. But so we admit that's sometimes an area that is not always, hey man, he's on top of this. And so you take the read out, perfect. But secondly, what happens instead of just putting Jam right next to you and he's going to be a lead blocker, or instead of making it an H-back, a Robbie Oots, an extra Robbie Oots coming across, whatever, the mesh, the action of I might hand the ball off to Jam or Justice, this, and it's slow. It's not always, it looks
it's that Wake Forest slow mesh.
Exactly. Perfect. Exactly that. It's exactly that. And what that does is say, linebacker, I'm going a little slower. I'm waiting. Are you about to hand it off? Are you about to hand it off? Or are you about to pull this bad boy? Or are you about to pull this bad boy out and throw it still? I'm still kind of trying to decide what you're going to do. And what happens, exactly. And what it does works for Jam and Justice, for Justice and for Jalen. But what it does for the offensive line is these linebackers are moving just a hair slower, and we're getting up to you basically have your play side guard and tackle on a man doubling up to a linebacker, and you have your center and guard, your backside center and guard working up to a man and doubling a linebacker as well. And so you're kind of playing off the last man on the line of scrimmage. And because it's a slower look, it allows everybody to dig into their double teams and work up to the linebacker instead of the linebacker just quickly scraping to the action. And so it just does so much for everyone in the offense. It's such a great wrinkle.
I mean, just that, that split second of a linebacker having to sit there and watch the play develop to make the decision, okay, is this a read option or is this a straight quarterback carry? That ties him up just enough to make the play work. Football, everybody says it is a game of inches. It is a game of a split second. Things happen just in the blink of an eye. And that right there, the linebacker has to sit there and think to himself for just a split second, oh man, am I about to get beat over my back? Is there a guy running for a slant right behind me that's about to catch? And it's just enough. It freezes him in his tracks, forces him to make a decision that otherwise, if it was just Jam or Justice out on a lead block, he wouldn't have to make because it's very obvious what's happening. And it is a beautifully designed play. Very glad that you pointed it out.
So let's move to just an aspect of the offense that we talked about a lot last week, the usage of the running back. The proverbial Jam and Justice, yes, they're different players, but for our sake, they've served the similar role. They're essentially doing the same thing, a little different skill sets, but the same. Jam Miller, 13 carries, 38 yards. His longest was 8 yards. 2.9, not so hot. Justice Haynes, 8 carries, 23 yards, 1 touchdown. I don't know if you were really in the end zone on that touchdown, but you'll take it. And then In the receiving game, Jam Miller, 5 catches, 50 yards on all 5 targets, with Justice Haynes, 1 catch for 9 yards on 1 target. What do we think? Well, I think we counted up, was it 27 touches? Now, your yardage, your Jam yardage is, what's that, 38 and 50 is 83 yards on 18 touches. Your Justice Haynes yardage is 9 and Haynes right there. 9 and 23 is 31. 31 yards on 9 touches.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about? What do you think about how Alabama used the running back this week?
I think the biggest thing, or at least that I, kind of noticed that jumped out at me, is the Jam's 5 catches for 50 yards. Like he was so efficient catching the ball out of the backfield, and he was always just a perfect, just a little safety net. Just dump it off. There's free 10 yards. Dump it off. Another free 10 yards. And I think him, giving him the 12 carries, or the 13 carries, like that, kind of allowed him to maybe sneak out into those opportunities a bit. So I just having that balance there was so good. Selfishly, I do still maybe want to see a few more rushing attempts, maybe get both of them close to that 15 mark, 12 to 15 for both of them, not just one. But, I really can't complain at all about the way that they split up the touches between those two guys.
Right. People are going to see, oh, you only rushed for 38 yards, Jam. You didn't have a good.
It's all about the all-purpose yards.
Well, but it's just about what it does.
Yeah.
Because you're starting to have to respect it. I mean,
just enough.
You see that it says 38 yards, but there was a couple good runs. As long as it was only 8 yards, it was a couple of just on time 4 threes, a handful of yards, where you have to respect it. It makes you think about everything else. Justice Haynes the same way. Mm-hmm. And exactly like you said, the passing game, Jam, that 3rd and 5 on the goal line that ended up being the Justice Haynes touchdown. He goes Texas route, angle route, right across the middle in front of Will Weeks, and I think he probably scored. But he catches it right in traffic. He's just so fast. Oh my gosh. You want to talk about Nick Sheridan in the passing game throwing to Jam Miller. We've used the screenplay that gets you down there. Oh, such a beautiful play. You have a fake to Kendrick Law on the end around, and it looks like another screen out to Kendrick Law. Well, Jalen Miller flips his hips, and half the line's been leaking out to the left, and they're blocking for Jam Miller, and boom, you have the easiest throw in the world for boom, 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 easy yardage
down for 40 yards, whatever it was.
Oh, it's just incredible the way that the way that they're being
timing
used.
Of it. It was so perfectly placed in there, right at that spot where they needed that kind of juice. Nick Sheridan, masterclass once again.
All right. So with that, let's talk about the baddest part of the game. We're gonna leave the box. We're done calling plays.
Love that so
We're
much.
done calling plays. You guys can clean up. Because look, if you haven't ever been in a press box, that's fine. That's cool. But what happens is there are service workers, and most places they do a great job. And at Alabama, they do a great job keeping the garbage cans empty. We're keeping the coffee going, keeping the ice in the container. Like, they do a great job, really. But they're just standing around waiting for you to get out of there. Seriously. And with respect, they got to do a job, but they're literally
go
just
home
waiting.
too.
Right. And Nick Sheridan and the boys, they said, hey, y'all come clean this place up. We're done. We're done up in here. And they take the elevator. They come down.
Seeing them get down there and, give DeBoer the grab on the shoulder. Just guys being dudes. 2 guys out there having a great time. It was beautiful.
Right. It's like, hey, if we get the ball back, what do you want to call? Oh, just keep it. You just kneel it.
Do whatever you want, man.
Get out there, Ty, and go kneel it. I thought it was important. It was cool.
The morale
for
the whole team.
Right.
Just all time.
Go right to Jalen Milroe. And I think he says, hey, buddy, look how easy it is when you operate in the confines of the offense. I mean, when was he touched in the running game? Like, even when he did quarterback run, like, shoot. How many times? What is it? Oh, that's 72 yards. Oh, that's 39 yards. Oh, that's so 19 yards. Oh, here's a 10-yarder, and I'll just skirt out of bounds. Like, yeah, he took some hits, but he largely
stayed
was
clean.
Pretty clean. Right. You said it. No sacks. I don't even think that there's a recorded hurry on the LSU page. Let's see. Sacks, no. QB hurry, 2. 2 quarterback hurries is what they were tallied for.
That's a clean game.
Like, I think that
Nothing
moment
negative
on the
to
sidelines,
say,
he says,
like-
"Hey, buddy, look, I will call you. I will make it easy on you. I'll make you look like a superstar. If you'd have hit that right, if Ryan catches that ball, oh my God, what a highlight that would have been. If you'd have found Emmanuel Henderson, what a highlight. But you didn't, and you still
is
had
what it is.
an
You got 4 touchdowns
amazing
tonight.
game."
Yeah, I think that embrace between them, I love getting to see that. You could tell, obviously Jalen Milroe, this was a huge for his confidence this game. I think, last game as well, it's not like the offense put up a bad performance against Missouri, but the name on the jersey means
It was
a little bit
pedestrian.
different. Yeah, and also it's, that logo on the helmet and being in Death Valley, doing it at night,
In the rain.
That all means a lot, that means a lot. So
let's talk about this real quick before we go to the other side of the ball. How about Pat McAfee, you traitor? You I'm just teasing. I love it. But McAfee gets on there if you didn't see it. And, I love Alabama. Oh, they've been so good to me. But I had gumbo last night. And what do you say? Etouffee or something like Cajun shrimp.
Oh, he listed all the Cajun
these stuff.
classics.
And I got them to say, I figured out if you go ba 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 da da, and they go suck, and they just chanted.
Man,
they chanted their vulgar chant,
shaking in their chairs.
Yes, oh my God,
he did it like 4 or 5 times
the
throughout
whole
the day.
day. He's getting into say ba 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 da da. It's just
you
like,
see the clip where I think it was actually during his show maybe. And they had Brian Kelly up there, and Coach, what are they saying here when hey? And Brian Kelly puts his head in his hands. He's like, oh, I don't want to. I don't know what they said. I can't hear it.
Well, and so he did that.
What about the kid?
And
kid with the field goal.
The kicker
was
was terrible. Oh, it was awful.
He was so cocky.
He went on and goes, and he got him to call him Baton Rouge. Operator, won't you put me on through? I want to send my love down to Baton Rouge. It was just like, I was feeling it.
That was a fantastic game.
I was feeling it. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and on that, that's what triggered me. Nick Saban dropping bleep through a tin horn just like over and over on, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Him and Pat McAfee both each week. I think they have a running bet. They try to test it and see who's going to get fined.
Yes, right. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, dang, they're going to find ESPN for them saying bleep through a tin horn. And I know that's the line, but it's just like, it is.
How much leeway do they?
It is 10:30 in the morning here, Coach. On a family.
There's children watching, Coach.
Yeah, come on now. They were great. Coach
that's
Saban.
not the first time he's dropped
Coach
Sugar
Saban,
Honey Iced Tea on the game day this year. He
dropped Paul Skeens with a. Was this the first time you did homework at LSU?
Hey, we didn't come here to play school.
Oh, so that was so great.
It was a very good.
And then all of game day they picked LSU just to have LSU just get their butt just
man
handed.
I mean, got the doors blown off.
And
there was literally from maybe not the first snap, second snap on.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Like the mean adjective that comes to my to my brain is skull drag. They skull drug the LSU Tigers up and down the field all night long, and it was just like, meet me right here for a fight, and they didn't want. They said no. Sage Ryan.
And they went in there and they said, "Well, come on out anyway."
Right,
drag him out onto the 50.
Will Weeks. I think Will Weeks played hard, but
he made some plays. It's hard to do it all by yourself.
Sage Ryan didn't want any of that number 4 train.
Kyron Lacey didn't want Damani Jackson.
We're gonna put a fake Tiger, not Mike the Tiger.
Whoa, yeah, we got to talk about that.
We're gonna put a fake Tiger on the sideline and traumatize the mess out of them. Lights, strobe lights, inside a little cage. And he's probably what the hell?
So bad. I knew the Tiger was gonna be there. I thought surely it'll be a.
Well, they haven't done Mike on the sidelines for a long time.
Is he still there?
I think there's like a Tiger sanctuary off campus.
Because I knew that they had a place for Mike that he lived there. It was a very nice enclosure. I've seen.
I think so.
Okay,
but I think they stopped bringing him to games because of the exposure and the lights and the noise and the.
You think that's a natural habitat for a tiger?
This is somebody stepped in. Like that was one that maybe Peter got right. Like, hey, this is probably
they
a
don't
little
often
too much.
do, but that one, yeah, sure, I'll ride with you on that one.
Right.
Like,
Okay. Yeah. Sure. It's a little too much. It's not a dog, and even still, like,
I couldn't believe that they and the cage that they had him into. And I get you don't want to have a tiger in maybe a cage where people can put their arms and hands in it, but like it just looked he was just sealed up in this glass box. It was awful looking. It was really bad, and not a good look for LSU. It was yeah. I don't think that went the way that they thought it was going to.
Gotta send my love down to Baton Rouge. Oh, what a weekend. God. You got any more offensive notes? You want to talk about Kendrick Law getting a couple touches?
I love Kendrick Law getting involved a bit.
I mean, you know what? That's what it's saying. Only a little bit. You can keep going in a second, but only a little bit is what it's saying. You give him like 2 touches, and that's what the screen just happened.
Yeah.
And like, oh, he's such a you missed him for a couple of weeks, and the offense looked like doo-doo. You bring him back, and oh, look what he can do out here. It just you don't have to go into 12 personnel. Like, I love your Robbie Utes, I do, but you don't have to go into 12. You can leave Dupree's a capable blocker playing the true tight end, and you can make it Kendrick Law the H-back de facto Z wide receiver. And
he's a great just switch it up, you know.
So what did you think of him? Sorry, because he was on one of your lists.
I was very happy with his performance. I would have loved to see him maybe get in the end zone or something. But sure, you know, hey,
keep going.
I'm cool with it. I was happy just to see him be a piece of the offense. You know, the last few weeks he's kind of been forgotten about a bit. It feels like, but you know, watching the game, it felt like
throwing
he was
punches.
It felt like he was like a piece of the offense. It didn't feel like, oh, he was a guy that got a couple touches. No, like you think about it was like, okay, Kendrick Law was involved. He only got, I'm looking at it, five touches, 5 touches, 3 carries, 2 catches.
Yeah, and he had another target. He had another target, which is still. But when you think about the confines of the offense, how many? You said 5 touches. So and he had the 6th target. How many plays did you have? That's 66 plays. So what's that? Six plays and 66 plays. That's almost 10%. Is that right? My math. If you had 7 plays, that's 10%. Mm-hmm. 6 plays, just under 10%. So he's getting just under 10% of the offense.
I think that's a good spot for him to be in. With just considering how much talent is everywhere.
If you listen to the podcast or you watch the show, double check my math so I can know you're listening right there in the comments. I'm pretty sure 6.6, 66, 10% would have been 6.6. Yeah,
I was happy.
That's pretty good. Almost 10% of the offense.
Yeah, Justice got involved. And we wanted the running backs to get involved, and they did. I still, like I said earlier,
your boy Richard Young, garbage time hero.
I did want to. I love that. I love it. I'm so glad. I texted you while we were watching, and I said, if Richard Young breaks one, I might have to go buy him dinner. I might have to drive to Baton Rouge and buy him dinner. And
you can buy him dinner
about
tonight.
2-3 plays later, he did do just that. So Richard Young, if you're welcome to come join us in the Derek Daniel studio, and I will buy you a lovely meal, courtesy of the Joe Gaither show here.
Absolutely, whatever you'd like. Richard Young, who, again, NIL genius. You only get a couple. You only get a couple of touches.
Smart.
But everyone's buying his jersey because
I need to know what those checks look like.
Probably a lot better than the other backups.
Yeah. It's just a genius. But no, great. Really, 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 really fantastic game offensively. We talked about the offensive line a little bit, but again, zero sacks for Jalen. They kept him completely clean the entire time.
Right.
They
and how about the penalties? You only had 4 penalties for the day? Is that right? 7 penalties on the day. Oh, I thought it was
a little more than I thought.
It
didn't feel like we had that many.
Let me see if I can't.
4 offensive, 3 defensive. We got false start, delay game, face mask on the offense. Okay.
Where is that on this sheet? Advanced penalty right there.
We could go without the defensive penalty.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the offensive 2 false starts, one on the first play, and then one on Danny Lewis, right? And I think that play resulted in that next 3rd and 8 to Emmanuel Henderson overshot. So boom, that's a problem. Delay of game, which is a great penalty. I will talk about that in a little bit. I don't have a problem with that. Then offensive face mask. Face mask on King Mac. Oh, that's a kickoff. That's a kickoff. Okay. All right. So that's okay.
I must have missed that one.
And then roughing the
passer. Defensive ones are a little bad. I feel like I remember one of them being pretty questionable, but the other one was Who was it at the very end? Was it Mincy?
Mincy got one, and Damani Jack and Tim Smith got one.
I want to say Tim Smith maybe was the one.
Tim's is early. Tim's
I think that was the one that was a little questionable
in the second quarter.
And then the one late, I remember watching I remember watching the game and saying, "Oh, come on, that's garbage," and then seeing the replay and being like, you can't do that.
And then Jordan Renaud got one as well. I can't remember what that was either. But overall, good on the penalties.
Yeah, just clean up the stupid ones, you know.
But handle the noise is the point. Only 2 false starts compared to what you did in Knoxville. What I think you saw here is
this was not Death Valley getting to them.
Well, I think you have seen, if you're an Alabama fan, you can take a lot of confidence in this coaching staff and what they have done, learning lessons and implementing lessons and saying, okay, we know how to operate through a bye week against Georgia. We're going to get off to a big lead. And, oh, buddy, our guys laid off the gas. Ain't no letting off the gas in Baton Rouge. Well, you go up to Knoxville, you really struggle with the noise and you really struggle offensively. Well, we're going to learn those lessons. We're going to operate a little differently at the snap. They had kind of a different system. Jalen was hiking his leg and Tyler Booker was tapping. It was kind of a different system.
It worked really well.
Yeah, absolutely. It worked. So it's learning lessons. Keep going.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, I thought when they said it, it sounded like, that's a lot of moving parts. I don't know how well that's going to work, but no issues here. Everything worked out great.
I think that they said they've been working on that style basically since the Knoxville, we didn't like what happened. So really, really impressive there. I think just where you are with 3 weeks left in the season, you're so set for the postseason. We'll talk about that at the end, but you should just feel good about the way that this coaching staff implements its lessons and learns its lessons, takes it from the game to game. We have seen some dumb coaching decisions over the year here and there. But
Saban had some questions.
Yeah, of course.
I remember many a time there were several timeouts
when you're calling a game every week. You're going to make some dumb decisions. All right, let's talk about the defense. But before we talk about the defense, I have to tell you about our friends, Purple Turtle Roofing. They're the most reliable residential roof replacement company in Mississippi and Alabama. Whether it's addressing leaks, storm damage, or general wear and tear, Purple Turtle Roofing is going to be there to deliver exceptional roof repair for your property. Purple Turtle Roofing is the leading expert in local residential roofing solutions, specializing in unparalleled service, quality craftsmanship for all your roof replacement needs. Call Dustin Foley and his team today at 877-PT-ROOF-5 for your free roof inspection. That's 877-787-6635 to schedule your appointment, and one of the qualified employees will come check out your roof for free and make sure you're prepared for any and all of life's storms. Check them out online today at roofturtle.com. If you're watching us live, we are in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios, live on my own social media machines at Joe Gaither 6. But if you are watching us on YouTube, Bama Central's YouTube channel, or listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon, you can already tell this is going to be a long episode. So what we're going to do is break it into 2 parts. We're going to talk about Alabama and LSU, and we're going to talk about Alabama and Arkansas State basketball on this past Friday. We got to talk about that before the Crimson Tide welcomes Will Wade tonight. So if you are thinking about, oh boy, this is getting long, or you are just wanting basketball talk, you might want to go ahead and skip to part number 2. Thanks so much for being with us right here in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. We're live off McFarland Boulevard. Call Derek Daniel and his team today at 205-758-3391. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. Oh my gosh, Kane Womack or Darth Vader?
Man.
I mean, Kane Womack, or what's another all black
Godzilla? I mean, he was like a mon.
He's been wearing the all black most of the year. Now, it hasn't been as prominent.
No, he knew what he was doing.
He's been wearing the all black.
He was wearing his funeral attire.
Oh, I'm about to mess your stuff up. What did we say, Mason? Going back, we're not going to tune our horn too much, but on Thursday, Friday, we started thinking, Derek Nussmeier might be susceptible. Why? What did we say that it was their troubles?
A defense that can give you a lot of looks, can confuse you a bit pre-snap, can show you one thing, can do another after the ball is snapped. And what did Alabama do the whole game?
Entire game.
It was
simulated pressure. Like from the very first snap, it's there's 7 guys up. And you rewind it, and you start watching, oh, there's 7 guys on the line of scrimmage, there's 6 guys on the line of scrimmage, there's 8 guys on the line of scrimmage, there's 5 guys on the line of scrimmage. And it wasn't like it always all came. That wasn't the point. That's not the point. It wasn't Kane Womack, we're just blitzing the mess out of you. It's we're sending
You're never going to know what's happening
at different times and different twists and different.
Man,
it was like we're going to put you right in this little phone booth and we're going to put you in like.
This was that, that weird UFC offshoot where they put 2 people in a phone booth and have them fight. That's what this game was.
Oh,
that's what Kane Womack did to LSU. Put them in the phone booth and beat the brakes off of them. Didn't let them leave, strapped them up in there and just went to town.
And you got to, LSU had no commitment to the running game. They broke off the one big run, and it was a little bit of a bust from Alabama's defensive perspective. But let's just start right there on that big run. Should have been a touchdown. What happens? Who big number one from the opposite side of the field playing backside cornerback says, not today. Damani Jackson had an amazing game from the very jump.
He's not going to hear about it a bunch.
Backside corner going, he probably
ran about 80 yards.
Yes, he probably chasing down the running back and says, no, we're going to live to fight another 3 downs in the red zone, and we're going to get this stop. Damani Jackson, just start right there because, look, Mason, this was your second time playing 3 players to watch, I think, with us. You absolutely you picked Damani, you picked Justice Haynes, and I think you picked Deontay Lawson, or you picked I know you picked Brayson Hubbard Kendrick Law and Brayson Hubbard were in your honorable mentions, or you might have picked them. Like
Damani was awesome.
You nailed your picks. So start with Damani.
Yeah, I think he has solidified himself as probably my favorite player on this defense after this performance. We talked about it last week about what he has shown us this year against the elite talent he has gone against, and he has locked it up. He shut down Luther Bird and he shut down Theo Weiss against Missouri. And we talked about it, and again, we thought, maybe this is a little bit more indicative of Drew Pine as a quarterback than it is Damani Jackson as a player. No, sir. No, sir. I see your first round wide receiver over there. I'm not scared. No, what did Kyron Lacy finish with? He had one touchdown,
5 catches, 79 yards, and 1 touchdown. He had a long of 28 yards. But get this: in the first quarter, all right, Garrett Nussmeier pass incomplete to Kyron Lacy. First quarter, Garrett Nussmeier pass incomplete, Kyron Lacy. Second quarter, Garrett Nussmeier pass deep left incomplete. Third quarter, more in the second quarter, incomplete again. He doesn't get his first completion comes in the third quarter on the first play of the second half. Right, they get the ball. Garrett Nussmeier pass deep left, 21 yards. Kyron Lacy, great. Then he gets another catch late in the quarter, 5 minutes left. Pass complete, 28 yards. Basically, game is over at this point. He gets another catch just seconds later, pass deep left. Oh no, that was incomplete because he stepped out of bounds. It was complete, and they reviewed it. Sorry, bud, you're out of bounds. Then in the fourth quarter, he gets a 17-yarder, and he gets a 1-yarder, and then the 12-yard touchdown on.
This is
Jalen Mbakwe.
Yeah,
on freshman. Great job, Jalen. Honestly, great game. You gave that one play up. Who cares? Like you tried.
This was a stellar performance from Damani Jackson. He
number one for a reason.
Yes, he solidifies that he is the lockdown corner here in Tuscaloosa.
I'm not going crazy. He's wearing jersey number 1, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I would get him confused.
He is number 1. He is your number 1 corner. He is your number 1 lockdown guy. Like he is. Yeah.
He said, who you want to erase? We played that game last week, and he said, do you think you can erase Mason Taylor? He said, nah, that might be a little tough, size or something. He said, do you think you can keep up with Aaron Anderson? Might be a little tough, but I know I can erase number 2 over there, Kyron Lacy.
Yeah, whoever Alabama is playing, you better start thinking about their wide receiver 2 having a good performance that week, because wide receiver 1's on lockdown. He's getting shut down this week. Anybody facing off against Damani Jackson, good luck. He is going to put you. He's going to put you in a torture cell, and he's not going to let you out for 60 minutes.
So Jahad Campbell's going in the first round as well.
Man, what a game!
That's a first round draft pick at this point. That's a top 20.
Might be more.
They're going to see Micah Parsons in him. the athlete, they're going to say, oh, we can play him inside linebacker. We can play him outside
man.
linebacker. You get the fourth down that ended up being you get stopped on fourth down. And you're like, oh, man, that's a momentum loss for Alabama. And the next play, Jihad Campbell comes in and says, let me swipe that out your hand, Garrett Nussmeier.
Cookies.
Exactly. What was his final numbers? Do you have it right there?
I got it right here.
Perfect.
Jihad Campbell, 12 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, pass breakup, and a quarterback hurry. I mean, against what we talked about all last week as being what is widely considered one of the best offensive lines in the country, 2 probably first-round draft picks.
I think that's a bunch of hooey.
Yeah,
I think
it's a little
game.
overblown.
It's a little overblown. But at this point, I think it's a little game.
Those guys will be in the NFL. Emory Jones and Will Campbell, they will be in the NFL. And Jihad Campbell made them look silly.
And his buddy right next to him, Deontay Lawson, had himself a nice little game. The interception.
We're looking
basically. LSU is asking. LSU is driving. Will you let me back in the game, please, Alabama? We're on the goal line. We have made the march to open the second half. Will you let me back in the game? And Deontay Lawson says, no. What a play. He says after the game, I practiced that. They ran that play against us in practice a bunch this week, and I actually did get an interception on the scout team quarterback because it's a beautiful play. You've got both the corner and safety are in man, and it's double slants across, and you're thinking, okay, that's going to be a problem. Well, the inside linebackers are both going to pick up the double slants, and you think, okay, well, backside slant's going to be open because you get caught in a bunch of traffic. Well, Lawson, beautiful play. How about I'm going to give a little shoulder to the front, to the first slant, and okay, I'm going to make you think I'm caught up in traffic because, yeah, here's this little shoulder to slow everything down to let Campbell be able to pick up the front side slant. I mean, it's beautiful. He falls off. He falls off. Like, Nussmeier never saw it.
Didn't see it at all.
Saw
There's
it.
a lot of things he didn't see this game.
He never saw him. He says, here's the front side slant, little shiver, and I'm just waiting to fade to have that backside slant right in my pocket. Oh, just beautiful.
Yeah, he was so good. And you mentioned Jihad Campbell, first round draft pick, top of the first round, top half of the first round. And I'm looking here at Tankathon, for the updated NFL draft order, and I'm looking. And you mentioned Micah Parsons, and I see Dallas sitting right there at 11th overall. And Dak Prescott's not playing the rest of the year. They're going to probably lose a lot more games. If you watched any of the Cowboys this Sunday,
don't they need like offensive line or wide receiver? I don't know what they need.
They need to trade Micah Parsons
and draft
Jihad Campbell.
Okay.
That's what they need to do.
Trade Micah Parsons to the Bears to make
trade him wherever. You don't have to pay him. You're not. Where are they going to get the money to pay him? I mean, hey, they got so much money tied up in Dak and CeeDee Lamb.
Jerry Jones, turn on the oil well a little bit more.
Have Jerry open his pocket, open his checkbook up. But hey, I could see it. I could see Jihad Campbell working his way into that top 10, maybe even a little higher conversation if Dallas is I don't know. He feels like the player that Jerry Jones falls in love with.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All the measurables, all the intangibles, all the measurables. Let's talk about.
You want to talk a little special teams?
Not yet. I got a few more defensive thoughts.
Let's do it. Let's keep going.
Brayson Hubbard.
For a second. Yeah.
How could I forget? A little 1-8 on the pass breakups. A little not up in my house here. Got himself an interception.
Dog.
I mean, here's my thought. How many times do you see a player that is not starting? Like, okay, obviously the injury factor happens with Sad, and that really stinks. But how many times do you see a player that's not starting, that gets thrust into the starting lineup, that in each of your first 2 games after your start, you're getting tapped for post-game interviews because you had such a you basically only get 4, 5, 6 players after a post, and especially on the road, you get less because they're in a hurry to get out of there. In a night game, you got to hit the plane, get on out of there. Okay, but Brayson Hubbard against Missouri and against LSU, you've had such a strong game that the media is saying, "Oh, we want to talk to 1-8. We want to talk to him." Well, how many? Never, ever
can't think of a time.
Now I'm not a media expert, but it just feels rare.
He has made a name for himself.
I got a buddy who sent me and said, "You guys need to do this on Tuesday or Wednesday." better? Who's better for this team? Who's better on this for this defense? Brayson Hubbard or Keon Sabb? And I said, okay, we can do that. But I don't know what I would choose because he's been awesome these 2 games that he started.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. I mean, I don't know what we would have gotten out of Keon Sabb had he been playing these last couple games, because I think there's a pretty good chance that we get the same level of play that we've gotten from Brayson Hubbard, if not potentially better. I don't know. We saw what he did when he was healthy. He was fantastic on the field when he was healthy. So, I don't think you can take anything away from Keon Sabb, but at the same time, I definitely can't take anything away from Brayson, because he has just stepped into this role and the defense has not missed a beat. So, man, I don't know.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about it. We'll keep going here. Q Robinson. Oh,
yeah, another great game.
Q Robinson, real good game, but upper body injury, going to miss the rest of the year.
Did we get any actual specifics, or are we just given upper body injury?
No, just upper body injury. I think it might be a broken arm. I think it might be a shoulder something, clavicle, something not good. Something that's going to take a while.
Yeah, when they said on the broadcast that it was some kind of broken something, I thought maybe for a second, like, okay, maybe it's just a forearm kind of, he could play in a stub, or he's done, unfortunately.
So we ask you, Mason Woods, how confident are you? I know you were working today, probably didn't hear no Keanu Coat in Baton Rouge, and no Keanu Coat this week against Mercer. He's currently suspended for an undisclosed amount of time. And you have Quay Rousseau and Yanzi Pierre now as your Wolf 1 and Wolf 2. Now, Quay's played a lot this year. Yanzi's played a little, but those are your 2 guys playing Wolf right now. And I guess you got Jay Sean Ross, true freshman as well.
Yeah, I mean, Q's he's a tough guy to replace. He's a big part of this defense. I do like what Yanzi Pierre brings. I think me and you have talked about him before. I think are very high on him. So I'm excited to see him get more into the fold. Hopefully, he's not going to shy away from the opportunity. Hopefully it kind of galvanizes him and gives him the chance to maybe play outside of what people are expecting from him. I don't think losing Q Robinson hurts, but I don't think it's really going to necessarily hurt the defense as a whole. I think the defense can be okay without him. I think they will move on okay. The rest of the season, I'm feeling all right about it. But yeah, that's a tough one. I am very excited to see what Yanzi Pierre does.
Yanzi, I think he's going to be a real superstar once he gets a little comfortable. And comfortable brings me to my defensive kind of conclusion here, Mason. I think going back to maybe the offensive conclusion, you have seen over the course of a 9-game sample size now, right? 9, 10, 11, 12, 9-game sample size, what a defense looks like with the talent that you have had, lining up with the scheme, lining up with experience, lining up with just comfort, and just experience. I mean, Keon Keeley gets into the game, though we've been waiting to see him for 2 seasons now. Finally gets some run at Bandit, and Kane Womack gives him a little bit of credit, gives him a little bit of props today in his Monday press conference. We're going to want to see Keon Keeley. We want to see all these guys, but it's just two weeks now of really, really strong play. And really maybe 3 going back to the South Carolina, and maybe even 4. I mean, you held Tennessee to a first half shutout, and you held them to, 21, 24 points.
That game is going to get forgotten because they lost, but it wasn't a bad performance.
You turned the balls over 3 times in the game. The defense is really, 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 I think, starting to get comfortable in the Kane Womack swarm system. And Womack with his little tiny note card, I wanted to ask him, how many of these plays, are these note cards just reminders, or do you have all the plays up in your brain? I wonder how he's organizing all this. But my point being, 9 weeks in the season, entering the last month, all the frankly crud that you heard towards the end of October, start of October, start of October about, fire Kane Womack, fire sometimes these things take time, and now you have this result.
Yeah, I think me and you kind of have talked about this off the air, that anybody who knows, who kind of knew a little bit about this going into it and wasn't a very casual observer, you could tell that this defense was maybe going to take a little bit to get used to. It is a very different system than what Alabama has run previously. It's a team full of guys who ran that Nick Saban system for the last 2 or 3 years, 4 years, 5 years for some guys. So it was bound to take a little bit. It is not an overnight. You can't just come in and install a brand new system in a few months even. It just takes time. Guys have to completely rewire the way that they play the game, the way that they react to things, the way that they go against certain looks. They have learned it all one way for so long, going back to the day they stepped on campus as freshmen, and then now they're asked to just completely change it. So it takes a bit. And yes, we are finally now 9 games into the season, 10 games into the season, seeing it round into form, and it is beautiful. This defense, they were just flying around Saturday night, just absolutely hounding LSU. It was awesome.
All right, so we're going to cut off the part 1 right here. If you're watching live, just stay with us. We're just going to keep it rolling. We're just going to make this edit for our podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube and you're watching us on Spotify, you can always download a Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. So if you're watching us live, we're just going to keep rolling. But this is going to conclude our part number 1 of our LSU recap. Part number 2, we'll get into special teams, and we are going to get into Brian Kelly. I have a lot of comments on Brian Kelly, so that might be the spicier part of the episode. That might be the part you're looking for the most on a Monday, and we will finish with Alabama basketball discussion. Before we conclude part number 1, we want to thank our friends, Druid City Music Hall. You can find them online at druidcitymusichall.com/shows. You can check them out this week. Evan Horner is performing on Thursday, and on Friday, Josiah and the Bonnevelles. They've got a full month of shows. Pop Evil and the Bad Wolves on Sunday, November 17th. That's this coming up Sunday. Then next Thursday after that, Bren is going to be performing. Dead Poets Society. So you got a full month of November at Druid City Music Hall. Check out all their shows, druidcitymusichall.com/shows. That'll do it for our part number 1. So we will cut off right here on the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central on YouTube, on Bama Central's YouTube channel, and we'll cut off right here for Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on Amazon.
Thanks for joining us on today's edition of the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. Keep up with Joe on all his social media pages at Joe Gaither6. Subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and be sure to read us daily at BamaCentral.com.